Well, hello everyone, welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. So excited for this one because it's going to be a continuation of our little mini series that we're doing called Mastering Seed Starting. And for those of you that are new to this series, it's basically just a kit that we went out and we curated. So it's not sponsored by anyone, it's all just unbiased, and it's picked by me with my own money because I like certain things about the different products that we're showing in this kit. And if you want any of these items in the kit or get the whole kit together, I'll have links to it in the description box below so you can go along with us and make sure that you have the best chance at success. As you know, we already talked about the lights. We already talked about the seed starting mix. What comes next? What is the next big ticket item here in the seed starting kit? And that would be containers. Paper versus plastic. I've got both here. But which one do I recommend? Plastic is the answer. I know I can hear everyone saying now, but Luke, you can't grow organically if you're growing in plastic. I can hear all the purists saying that, and I want to just put this disclaimer out there that I don't really care. Because the fact of the matter is I know I am as strict as it comes when it comes to organic gardening. I only put in my garden what is absolutely organic. And I can safely say that I feel extremely safe using these plastic trays to start our seeds with. I just do. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. And I will say this, that there might be some negatives. Ignorance is bliss when it comes to this because the pros do outweigh the cons. And I will say that too. My biggest argument is that even if there are some negatives, the pros outweigh the cons. And so I want to get into the pros before I get into some of the cons about peat pots, because peat pots are great. I've had a lot of great results with them, but the fact of the matter is if you don't know how to use them properly, it can add a lot of confusion, it can add a lot of extra steps, and it can add a lot of extra complication to your seed starting process that, in my opinion, a beginning gardener does not need. So let's talk about why I like the plastic pots. As you know, plastic can be colored, and one of the nice things about plastic is that when it comes to seed starting trays, it's black. Black is a wonderful color because it absorbs a lot of energy. And that energy is the form of heat. So when we're starting seeds, heat is our best friend, or at least not too much, but we'll get into that when we talk about heat mats. Next episode, stay tuned for it. So heat is our friend. And one of the things with heat is that wherever your heat source is, you want it to be absorbed into the soil eventually. And plastic is it's not a very great conductor of heat, but black plastic is a wonderful conductor of heat. And so that's going to allow a very good transfer of heat into your soil uniformly, helping it to warm more consistently, giving you a better germination rate. Another thing with the plastic is the fact that it does not hold on to water. Okay, it's very water retentive, it's very water repelling. Whereas with a peat pot, it's very water retentive, meaning it will hold on to water, it'll retain water. Okay, and where I'm getting with that is kind of one of the negative side effects with peat pots is that as a beginning gardener, we have a tendency to overwater. It happened to me. I can see all the comments and the emails and the pictures coming in. They're always about overwatering, at least this time of year when it comes to seed starting. Luke, my plants are falling over. What's going on? Luke, I've got mold. Why? Or Luke, my plants are turning yellow and withering. I just gave them some fertilizer and nothing is helping them. Why? The answer can all be traced back to overwatering. If you give them a plastic tray, the only thing holding on to water is the seed starting mix, which is the only thing that should be holding on to water, because that means when your soil is dry, it's time to water. And that's a good indication for a beginning gardener, aha, I need to water. The problem is with a peat pot, what can happen is the peat is made from peat, and that's an organic substance. While it's good that it breaks down in your soil and it's good that it, kind of keeps everything contained in a closed system, there's not other pots you need and other things like that, it holds on to water. And that leads to mold. And it also leads to root rot because the peat pots hold on to water, which hold on to more moisture near the soil, meaning the natural drying out process cannot occur. And what happens is a beginning gardener will water, and then the pot will hold on to the water, and it will absorb into the soil. The soil will then dry out, And then the gardener will say, oh, hold on, my soil's dry, I need to water again. What they don't see is below the soil level, that peat pot is holding all that water in the soil. And even though the top of the soil is drying out, that's not an indication that the bottom of the soil is dry, because all that water is down at the bottom being stored in the peat from the pot. And that leads to mold and root rot, which are the two most detrimental things to a beginning gardener when seed starting. Your seedlings, when they have very little roots, if they start getting root rot, you're going to see the plant starting to show signs of nutrient deficiencies, and it will also, more often than not, just completely fall over at the base. That's called damping off. It's actually a bacteria that gets into the stem of the plant, and it actually will hollow out the very fine stem that has been created. It's very, very tender, very temperamental, and it will hollow that out and cause it to go limp and fall over. Then the plant is toast. Or if you can survive that, if you can survive the damping off, what will happen is the roots will begin to rot, and that allows for bacteria and other diseases to get into the plant, causing your plant to have disease. Or what will happen is the roots will be eaten away through root rot, and then you'll have less ability to uptake nutrients, which is where nutrient deficiencies come in. Your plant is yellow no matter how much you feed it, and then oftentimes you end up overfeeding it, and then that causes so many more problems that you don't even want to get into. And so through that whole thing of all those things that can go wrong, they can all be simply prevented, or at least mostly prevented, by using plastic, because the water, if you overwater and you have the right type of soil, it's going to drain out the bottom, plain and simple. Another thing that makes it so nice for plastic that I absolutely love is it can be used year after year. I like things that I can rinse out and I can throw in my shed, bring them out in the springtime. The thing with peat pots is, yes, they might be a little less expensive, but they're like ink cartridges, okay? You need more of them, okay? This is just a one system, okay? What I like to do is, I mean, yes, over time you'll have to replace them. That's almost a given, but these will last 4 or 5 years without a problem at all. I've even used, I still have some from like 6 or 7 years ago that I still have in my shed. And the thing is, all you have to do is rinse them out with a little bit of bleach water, let them dry. That'll kill any mildew, that'll kill any mold, bacteria, fungus, whatever. And then all you have to do is just rinse out with fresh water, let them dry again, and you're ready to go. Just throw them into storage, and they're ready to plant in again. So they're something you can reuse again and again and again, and they're fairly inexpensive. This 10-pack of peat pots cost me $1.75. This whole 72-cell greenhouse kit with a watering tray, cells, and a little mini greenhouse, which is a super tip for keeping humidity near your plants. That's a great tip to helping seed germination. It cost me $2.50 versus $1.75. I'm gonna have to buy this year after year. I get to use this for as long as I can keep it nice. So that's another great component. And the final thing that I wanted to talk about with seed starting trays is that when you get a seed starting tray, what's really nice is that, see here, I'll show you guys really quick. You're gonna wanna come in and check this out. So first I wanna talk about the peat pot. Do they break down? Yes, they do break down. Do they break down that easily? The answer is no. In my experience, seed starting when done indoors does not allow enough time for this peat pot to break down completely. Meaning you have to do one of two things. You have to either drop it in the soil, and yes, it'll break down, or two, you have to tear the peat pot. You have to actually rip it and then break it and then kind of rip it around, rip it around, rip it around. Okay, great. Well, obviously there's no plant in here, but you have to remember, this is organic, meaning that this contains a lot of air pockets, it has a lot of texture, and that texture is what will allow the roots to cling. The tiny little root fibers will cling to the inside of the pot. It will begin, as the pot begins to break down, it will begin to allow for roots to come in here and break apart the pot. That's what will happen naturally. But in the event that you have to transplant, or you have to get it out of this pot, and you don't want to just drop it in the soil, what are you left with? You're left with this ripping method, okay? You're left with this ripping method, and what that will do is that will damage so many roots. I am a firm believer that the more roots you damage, the more stressed your plant will be. And a stressed plant is an unhealthy plant. The more happy your plant is, the healthier it will be. And the fact of the matter is this is so easy to transplant because these are very smooth, if you can see in there, it's very, very smooth. I mean, you can see the outside, very, very smooth. This is very, very rough. This texture is what allows the roots to cling and stick to it. Nothing sticks to this because, again, this is not an organic substance. So roots, they want to cling to this because roots will naturally, they'll naturally kind of cling to things that are organic to break down because they hold on to moisture. And roots know that if they can hold on to something that holds on to moisture, that is a great place for them to live. Roots won't cling to this, meaning that they'll just spin around and around and around and around and around. And what they do is they create a plug. And what we do is we tip them upside down when it comes time to planting. Obviously, we're going to break all these apart, but I didn't want to do that because that just gets messy. So you're going to have just these 6 plants here. You're going to hold your fingers just like this. You're going to take your middle finger and your pointer finger, slide them over the hole like that, tip it up. You're going to pinch, and you're going to, oops, not quite that hard, but you're going to kind of pop it, and it's going to indent a little bit. And that's going to break any roots free from right here in the center where the water holes come out. You're going to give them a little pop to lodge them like that. And what that's going to do is it's going to slide right out. And then you're going to take your plant. You got your plant in a plug, and you're just going to drop it right in the soil. Now, obviously, I don't have any plants in here, so it's a little hard to explain, but that is why I love plastic, because they slide out super easily without damaging the roots. It is just a very stress-free, it's a very hassle-free method to transplanting and growing your plants. So there you go. There is paper versus plastic containers and which ones I use and the reasons why I use them. Again, I have had great results with peat pots, but you really do have to know what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing and you're a beginner, you can really, like I showed, you can really mess up your plants big time, and that's something that can discourage a beginning gardener. So I like the easiest method first, and to be honest, the easiest method and the best method is the one that I've stuck with for the longest, and that is just traditional plastic. So you know, as much as we try to get away from it as a society, there are kind of nice things that can be brought from plastic, and this is certainly one of them. I really, really love it. So let me know in the comments box below which one you use. And I do hope that you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. Again, if you want to check out this kit or any of its components, check the description box below and grow along with us. So as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.